Welcome back, and thank you for joining us in this final part of Life in the Fast Food Lane presented by Employee Wellness and the Wellness Center. Today's session, entitled The Good, the Bad, and the Tasty, Life in the Fast Food Lane, will kind of provide an overall summary for us and take a look at the principles that we've learned and discussed throughout the series. We talked about the cons and the pros to fast food. Obviously, some of the cons involved is that a lot of the food is high in sugar, fat, and sodium, and there's a lot of misunderstanding that healthier items are more expensive. And in the case of fast food, to purchase the healthier items from the restaurant generally are going to be the more expensive options. The pros that we looked at are that it is quicker than cooking. We've got multiple foods to select and choose from, and a lot of times the prices have been lowered in an effort to help consumers purchase the product. As far as some of the stereotypes go with fast food, the stereotype is that it is fast food, it must be bad for you. It definitely can be bad for us if we're making poor decisions or not looking at nutrition information, but it can be healthy, or can be more healthy, if we're making informed, educated decisions. Efforts are being made toward health for some of the restaurants. We've got grilled options, we have baked potatoes, we have fruit for potential side items. So some efforts are being made by the fast food industry to make the food more appealing from a health perspective. One of the other stereotypes is that diabetics cannot eat fast food. And the case is that we can eat fast food if we have diabetes, but we definitely do want to plan the meals ahead of time. We do want to take a look at the nutrition information. And obviously this is going to be a personal choice based on our own personal background and medical history. Take into account our blood pressure, if it's high, take into account our cholesterol levels, obviously our blood sugar levels, and then we want to use that information that we know about ourselves to make an informed decision about eating fast food, if we're going to choose fast food, and how those foods would tie in to those personal factors. There are some restaurants out there that a lot of times people think that they cannot eat at for health reasons. Wendy's, Cookout, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Burger King, Taco Bell, just to name a few of them. And we talked about this for general purposes for all fast food restaurants, but the way that we want to look at the menu and how we want to try to choose is we want to look for the menu items that are grilled, that are baked, broiled, roasted. Generally chicken is going to be a good option. Again, we do want to look ahead of time because they can fool us. Okay, so we want to look at the nutrition information. But if we put some of those together, like if we're looking for a grilled chicken, generally speaking, that's going to be a healthier option. Another option is to lose the bun. Okay, so we can eat the sandwich without the bun. We talked about not eating it with cheese or mayonnaise. So there's a lot of things that we can do to kind of, like we talked about, lighten up the meal. The next point is we want to eat breakfast at home. It's easy to prepare food at home for breakfast, whether it's cereal, oatmeal, some fruit, yogurt. We've got a lot of healthy options that we can eat at home. And a lot of times people will think that we don't have time to eat at home. But with some of those options, they really are fast and easy, as well as a healthy, nutritious meal to get started for your day. Some other things, if we can look for some sandwich places, Panera, Jason's Deli, Subway. Again, we can find unhealthy options at any of these locations, just like we can find healthy options. But a lot of times, these sandwiches are not going to be fried, so we potentially can have some healthier options at some of these places. Overall, the biggest thing here is portion control. With anything that we choose, we want to avoid supersizing. We want to avoid larger sizes. We want to stick with our smaller sizes, regardless of what we choose. A smaller French fry is going to have less calories and less fat than a larger one. Drinks, regular Coke, Mellow Yellow, Mountain Dew are going to be the same thing. Okay, so any of our smaller sizes are going to be a step in the right direction for our health. As far as finding carbohydrates, a lot of people understand that the bun is going to have carbohydrates, sodas are going to have carbohydrates, but also keep in mind the other ones that are out there. Some of these can be hidden or the things we may not think about. A lot of these are also going to be high in fat as well as high in calories. We're looking at the fries, chips, breaded or fried foods, lemonade, dipping sauces, and dressings. So keep those in mind, because we talked about in the series, anything when we add to the sandwich, any of our condiments, mayonnaise, ranch, for dipping our French fries in ketchup or ranch, we want to make sure that we know that that is adding calories, it is adding fat. And lemonade is one that a lot of people think about as being a healthier option than our sodas. But if we're getting the regular lemonade, it's going to be very comparable to getting a soda as far as the carbohydrates and the sugar go. Now, we don't want to give carbohydrates a bad rap. Remember that carbohydrates are important for us. They supply energy for our bodies and for our brains. And so we want to make sure that we get our carbohydrates in. We just want to get those in healthy options, such as fruit, vegetables, whole grain. So don't eliminate the carbohydrates completely. We really do want to get those. They do serve important functions in our bodies. As far as beverages go, you can see that diet soda and water are going to be the best choices. Remember, our regular sodas are going to be high in calories. They're going to be high in simple sugars. And so water would really be the best choice, but if we just don't want to have water and we do want to have soda, let's try to opt for a diet soda. Would be a healthier option, and it's going to save us, some calories that we could eat. A lot of times people don't think about it, but we would rather generally get our calories from food than we would from beverages. A little bit more about menu selection again. Remember, we want to go for broiled items, steamed or grilled items when at all possible. We really want to try to avoid or minimize as much as possible anything that would be deep fried or pan fried, basted, battered, dipped, breaded, anything that's labeled as creamy or crispy. Remember, we said that those things are going to be generally higher in fat and higher in calories than the alternative options that we spoke about. So be on the lookout for those menu, kind of those key terms when we're looking at the menu. They may be appealing to our senses, especially if we look at creamy or crispy, but if we think about what we've learned and we look at the health aspect of it, we do really want to avoid or minimize those as much as possible. As far as pizza goes, remember, we want to choose thin crust items. We want to fill it with veggies as much as possible. We want to avoid extra cheese or fatty meats. Pepperoni and sausage would be some examples there. So again, it's not that we don't want to have pizza, we just want to minimize the number of calories and make an informed decision. So going with the thin crust is going to save us on calories. Adding veggies to it is going to save on calories and fat. If we use those in place of the pepperoni and the sausage that would generally be on there. So we want to substitute those things. We don't want to add necessarily to those things, but we want to replace. So replace our veggies with the higher fat meats. So we want to replace our higher fat meats, such as pepperoni and sausage, with vegetables. Remember, some of the other options that we could do are to ditch the bun. Remember, just to save again with some of the calories and some of the fat. Remember, if we do have the option for a whole grain bun, that would be a good option, and one where we want to keep the bun. And then the other idea is to plan your meals ahead of time. Think about the calories, think about how it fits, think about what you've had to eat for the rest of the day. and plan accordingly. Again, we'd want to use wheat bun or a whole wheat bun, whole grain bun, where we have the option. We discussed this already a little bit, but we want to start it right with a good breakfast. Remember, we can choose from yogurt, oatmeal, cereal, low-fat or fat-free glass of milk, fruit, all good options at breakfast, and all choices are going to be nutritious and get us off to a good start. Having a solid breakfast may help us prevent snacking later in the day. It'll also help us get and have enough energy to get to the lunch meal. And so we really want to start off with a good breakfast. We don't want to start the day hungry, which can potentially lead to being tired. And then it just kind of snowballs from there. By lunchtime, if we skip breakfast, normally our hunger is spiraling out of control at that point. So we really want to get the day off to a good start. And remember, there's options that are quick. Even if we think we don't have enough time, we can get healthy options at breakfast that are fast, that are easy, and convenient. For desserts, we do have some healthy choices that we can look at. A lot of places, you could maybe get a smoothie, you could get a frozen yogurt in a shake form. And so you can take advantage of dessert options. Again, the key here is to look at the menu items, to plan ahead, to plan accordingly, and to look at which ones actually are the best choice. Some of these are a little bit harder to distinguish than others, so you really want to do your homework. If you know or you think you may get a dessert at any of your favorite fast food restaurants, the best thing is to go ahead of time and look at how the calories and the fat stack up with some other options that would be on the menu. We can take just a brief look at this menu from Chick-fil-A. We've talked about a lot of these options already, from the original chicken sandwich to the char-grilled chicken, the chicken nuggets. You can see the side items down there, the coleslaw versus the small carrot and raisin salad. The side items, you've got choices of fruit cups, side salads, chicken soup. And so remember the key when we look at these menu items, so if we're walking into Chick-fil-A and we're faced with this decision, is to know ahead of time what we're going to get, what we're not going to get, and so we have a plan going into it. So maybe we know that we're going to get the char-grilled chicken sandwich at number 2, you can see in the right, kind of the top right-hand side of the screen. We want to replace our French fries with a fruit cup under the side items, and then we're going to get a small Diet Coke to drink. So we want to have that plan ahead of time so that we're not trying to make a choice when we get there. Our mind is already made up. We've got our plan. We're going to execute our plan. And in that way, we're going to get the healthiest possible choice. So again, if we just talked about desserts a few slides ago, from those, remember, you can look at the desserts and you can know that an ice cream in a cup is going to be a better option than the hand-spun milkshake, any of those choices. And so we want to look at those things going into it. Or if we're going to choose from salads, remember we want to look at those menu items. And just remember that the salad dressing is going to add to it, so take that into account as well when you're planning your meal. Okay, so this is just a good reminder of what you're going to be faced with when walking into your favorite fast food restaurant. You're going to have all these choices that are going to appeal to multiple senses. And so instead of making a spontaneous decision, we really want to be planned and organized and then execute that plan when we get to the restaurant. If we look at Taco Bell does what they call fresco style. And so you can look on their fresco menu that's here on the screen. And so what they do is they replace the cheese and sauce with their fresco style. And so you can see that a crunchy taco, the fresco version, has 8 grams of fat and 150 calories. Soft taco, 7 grams of fat and 180 calories. And they don't do this for all the menu items, but you can see they do it for a lot of their menu items. I believe they have 15 items under 10 grams of fat is what they market. So we can ask for fresco style, You can see some of the choices like down in the bottom right hand corner. A bean burrito, fresco style, has got 7 grams of fat, 330 calories. It's also going to have about 6 to 8 grams of fiber. Okay, so if we look on our sheet, we know that we need at least 25 grams in a day. So shooting for 25, that's going to give us about a third of our daily fiber. And you can look at some of the other options, but fresco style is a good option to help us save with calories and save with fat. It's also good if we, for people that don't like cheese, it's a viable option as well. Here's another reference for you, foodfacts.info. You can see it gives information on every major restaurant chain. It's got all the items. And so it's a good way to take a look and compare across restaurants and across menu items. You can sort just by hamburgers or by fries. So there's different options for different categories to group things together. And you can take a look at any of your favorite items as well as restaurants and make a comparison, and then again, which enables us to make a good, informed, educated decision. So if you're interested in checking out any of those things, I do encourage you to go to that website. Remember, you can also go directly to that restaurant's website, mcdonalds.com, burgerking.com, tacobell.com. You can go directly to their website, find the link to where the menu is, or it may say nutrition information. And like I said before, you can have a PDF of all of the items, or some of the restaurants will let you select and kind of build a meal and then calculate all of your nutrition values for you. So take a look at those, again, to help us make an informed decision. So this wraps up the last in our installment of Life in the Fast Food Lane series, presented by Employee Wellness and the Wellness Center. We thank you for joining us for these sessions. We hope they were helpful and informative, and that you learned some valuable information that you can use when faced with these tough decisions and tough choices in the fast food restaurants. Again, thank you for joining us. And please feel free to provide any feedback, any comments, or any questions to Employee Wellness or the Wellness Center, and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Again, thank you for joining us.